If you are new to Phasmophobia, if you are returning from Phasmophobia after a long hiatus, if you are part of the console update that has arrived at some point in time, hi, I'm the Bearded Baron, and this is my new player guide. This is for anybody that needs help with the game to understand the ins and outs, tips and tricks, all that kind of stuff. So if you like this video, please give it a like, share it with a friend. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing here is first, I'm going to set up all of my equipment. We're going to go to the shop. I'm going to set everything here to tier 1. So let's talk about the shop first and foremost, because this one is kind of the worst kind of shop. And even, I'll be honest, even with me, even with the countless hours that I have right now, I still have a hard time with this one. So the shop basically is going to, the shop portion is going to allow you to be able to upgrade your, it's going to allow you to upgrade your equipment from there. Once you upgrade it, then when you go over to quick loadouts, you actually need to hit this plus button to actually increase it, or you can manually change off whichever one that you want to. I highly recommend just hitting the plus button down here at the bottom. It'll move everything over to the right as possible. And then you also have your equipment manager as well on how many different things that you can add into the van. Basically, that culminates when you click over here that your stuff will show up on the screen. It'll get loaded into the van itself. If you want more of a detailed rundown of the shop itself, let me know down in the comment section below. Like I said, it's very confusing, but the overall gist of it is you upgrade on this screen, you add in, you push how much of what you want in here, and then this threshold is what tier of stuff that you want added into the van. So I'm going to set everything down to tier 1 because that's where you would be at if you were coming in new to this game. And I'm going to put it on Tanglewood because a lot of people put it on Tanglewood. Now, you can adjust through this as much that you would like to, right? You're probably going to start off on amateur. I'm going to put it up onto professional just because I'm very comfortable with the game. It's still going to give us 3 pieces of evidence, but you start this off on whatever difficulty that you want to. These little arrow keys, by the way, if you hit spacebar, it'll put you back out. If you tap in spacebar or whatever the button is on the console side, that's, it'll bring you back and forth into the menu, and then you can cycle back and forth between these. So, we're going to load up into this. Phasmophobia is a great game. I highly recommend, if you have not done the tutorial, you can do the tutorial to give you a baseline understanding of it. This video is intended to give you that baseline plus more on top of it. So, we got to grab a key. You always got to grab the key. The button keypad opens up the door. Right, now back over here, we have Susan Gacy. Okay, now if you're playing on a on amateur and intermediate, what it will tell you is that it responds to either alone or in a group. That'll become important later. Once you get up into the higher difficulties, it just says, I don't know. So you always have to be mindful that it could just not want to talk through the spirit box. Plus, we also have our secondary evidence here. Now, we have to cleanse the area of the ghost. We need to witness a ghost event, and we need to blow out a firelight. The only one that we cannot control here is witness the ghost event in most cases. I'll explain more about that when the time comes around, but for the most part, we can't do anything about it. And then we also have our cameras here. Depending on what location you go to, depends on how many cameras are actually on the location, and sometimes they can be useful for as far as determining maybe where your teammates are at, or exactly where maybe you can even find the ghost room through one of those cameras. On the maps themselves, if you cycle through here, this will show you the blueprint. So I know that Tanglewood is a 1-story house with a basement. Right? So there's the basement. There's the here's the layout of everything. Now, as you are playing with other teammates, you will actually see their individualized icons. Mine's red right now, but you would see like blue or green or purple. And you would see which way that they are facing, so that way if they were lost, you could help to navigate them. Additionally, you can see this little green icon here. That little icon is representative of the fuse box, which means that on this map, the fuse box is in the garage. Okay, so first items that I like to bring in here is going to be a flashlight for obvious reasons, an EMF reader, and a camera. Now, the reason why I do that, and that's my kind of go-to for the first items that I bring in, is that regardless of what the ghost does, it will leave an EMF signature. If it does a ghost event, it'll be an EMF 4. If it throws an object, it'll be an EMF 3. If it touches a door, taps on a window, hits the keyboard on the computer, that'll be an EMF 2. But in either case, you will always get an EMF reading. So if I need to help to determine if the ghost is actually in that room, then the EMF reader will help it to go off. Now, what I just took a photo of here is a cursed object. There are one of 7 cursed objects on every single map. The location of those cursed objects is exactly the same every single time. So that music box, for example, will always be in that exact same spot on the Tanglewood map. Once you memorize where they're at, they'll never change. Unless they do an update, but they'll never change. So all I'm doing right now is I'm looking for the bone as well, which is another thing to help us to get more money. And I'm still trying to find the ghost room. Now, I just heard something get thrown. It sounded like a fork or something. It was a spoon. Now, you can see here, as we can see the EMF going off, as long as the EMF is going off, if I take a photo of it, we get an interaction photo. If the EMF goes off and nothing is happening anymore, if I take a photo of this, I will not get credit for it. You cannot, as of the making of this video, you cannot cycle out your photos. You cannot choose them for better photos. So it's always one of those things. That sounded like a spray paint can. Whoa! All right, so that was... Bam. Bam, bam, bam. Woo, are you being aggressive? Why are you being aggressive? Oh, wow. Okay. So, I think that the ghost is in this room. Probably a pretty good indicator that the ghost is in this room. I'm going to throw that down over there. Now, what you just saw was 2 ghost events. How we know that they are ghost events is that one, the ghost was see-through in the first ghost event, and then the second one, it was in a shadow form. Now, I have a whole other YouTube video on this, on telling the difference between a hunt and an event, and I have made entire videos on just how to be able to tell the difference. But the generalized theme is that if it's not in full color, meaning that it's a full apparition, and it's not moving towards you after a short period of time, then it is not a ghost hunt. Right? What you need to get used to is being able to listen for the front door to be shut and locking. That is going to be your biggest indicator as to whether or not, regardless of where you are on the map, if you can hear the front door shut and locked, then you know that the ghost is hunting. Hearing is very important in Phasmo. As you can tell, this allows me to, to be able to hear where the ghost is at, where the ghost room is, all that kind of stuff. Additionally, we took a photo of the bone here. Now, we see we got the 3-star ghost photo. We actually just completed our Witness the Ghost event, which was great. And we have the ghost bone. The ghost bone is just going to give you additional money. You do need to pick it up, right? You can pick them up every single time. Sometimes they are difficult to find. Sometimes they are tiny. Sometimes they are large. You don't know where they're going to spawn. It's just random. But make sure that you try to pick up the bone. Otherwise, you will not get a perfect game if you do not pick up the bone. You do not have to take a photo of it to get a perfect game, but you do have to pick it up. So, next we've got our camera, right? I kind of skimmed over this part right here, but if you hold down F key, or if you hold down the place key, you'll notice that I placed it onto the tripod. So that's going to be very useful. As you move up in the different tiers of both equipment, of both the tripods and the cameras, you will notice that they also have the ability to be able to swivel back and forth, which is really cool, and they're less likely to get toppled over by the ghost. So I recommend upgrading those when you can. I do think they are kind of expensive, though. But we're just going to take a look here. I don't know if it's still in the kitchen here or if it's in the garage. It's in one of the two, I'm imagining. Right? For right now, I'm going to place this down in here into the garage. Now, bam. See that right there? That was just another ghost event. We are seeing freezing breath. Now, before, a lot of people got thrown off because in years past, up until several months ago, freezing breath meant freezing temps. That is no longer the case. If you see freezing breath, that just means that you're probably in the ghost room, or that it's very cold outside. Weather and location does play a factor on this game, so be mindful of that. But if the power's on and you're walking around the house and you see you see a freezing breath, then it's a pretty good indicator that it's probably freezing temps. Now, I heard it touch this locker here, and I'm not seeing any kind of fingerprint evidence whatsoever. Now, one of the great things that you can do is that in the evidence, not only can you mark stuff, ma'am. This thing is super aggressive. I wish I got these kind of ghosts all the time. So not only can you mark it as yes, which will help you to eliminate what ghost that you actually are dealing with, but then you can actually mark through it and say, no, I saw it. It interacted with the ghost writing book and it didn't write in it. Or in this case, it didn't leave us any ultraviolet evidence. So this is helping us to be able to knock down what the potential is it could be. My guessing is, just from experiences, that this is a Thay. Could also be an Oni. I need to do some more testing and stuff. But that's just my first inclination to try to see here. Now, you will notice the total activity board here. You will notice that there's things that are going up, that are going down. The total activity board can be very useful to you because it can show you EMF 5 from the safety of the van. Like I said before, every time that the ghost does something, it interacts with something, it leaves an EMF 2. If it touches something, taps on a window. If it throws an object, that's an EMF 3. If it does a ghost event, that's an EMF 4. If it does an EMF 5 activity, like giving us off EMF 5 evidence, it will show an EMF 5. You will see a jump of either a 4 or 5 on the total activity board, and that is going to be a really good indicator that what you're dealing with is an EMF 5 ghost. So if you're seeing a lot of jumps like that, especially if nobody's inside, ghost events cannot happen while nobody's inside the house. So if everybody's outside and you're still seeing jumps of 4 or 5, then that's probably an indicator that what you're dealing with is an EMF 5 ghost. That's just a little pro tip on that one as you get more experience into it. Now, my sanity is at 60% because we've dealt with this ghost quite a bit. So I'm going to take some sanity medication. Now, the sanity medication is not instant anymore. It used to be an instant kind of thing. Depending on what tier of sanity that you get, it will slowly start to add up, and it will slowly move up over time. So keep that in mind. You can't just down them and then just run back inside, because then you still run the risk of getting a hunt pretty early on. Let's see what else. We got salt. Salt is now different as well, right? Every ghost will step in the salt, with the exception of the wraith. But not every ghost will leave you footprints. Footprints also count as ultraviolet evidence. So if I was to put down salt and we were to see footprints, and then that would count for ultraviolet, and you could mark it as such. So yeah, I'm just trying to remember, like, a lot of all this stuff. Now, you notice the general idea here is that I'm going in, I'm dropping off my equipment, I'm coming back out. I'm going in, dropping off my equipment, I'm coming back out. I'm not spending a whole lot of time inside here. The most amount of time that we spent inside was simply to just find the original ghost room, as well as find the bone and the cursed object. So now I'm just going to go around and I'm going to place the salt. Again, you just hold down the place key as well, and that's going to give you an idea of the salt there. See, the ghost did step in it. Now we are just going to double check again. Right? Nothing on the door, nothing there at all. We're going to take a photo. You can take a photo of these footprints of the disturbed salt. And then, like I said, too, you can also take one of the door itself, as long as the EMF is going off. And as you can see, we're filling up our book fairly quickly. Now, because it did step into the salt, we can also just eliminate out ghost. I know from experience that a wraith does not step in salt at all. It will not leave an imprint into the salt. So if you put down a bunch of salt inside of a room and the ghost does not step in it at all, it's probably a wraith. Now, tier 1 dots is probably one of the worst items that you can do with. Okay, they're just awful. I don't like them. I don't know of anybody that does like them. And they're just terrible. But a pro tip that you can use with these, rather than hold them around and walk around with them, because you're probably terrified and you don't want to be in the ghost room for very long, you can hit the place key and then you can just set it down. Now, what we just saw right there, for those of you who missed it, was in fact a dots ghost. So I'm going to keep this pointed in this area. She's still very aggressive. Please don't blow out the light. She blew out the light. You are not being very cooperative, ma'am. All right, so I'm going to place this down right here. Now, don't confuse dots with your breath, right? Like, that's still our breath right there. I'll show you what it does look like on the camera, but we should be able to see dots here. So I can put up dots as well. But this is, again, narrowing it down. I'm still thinking that it's either an Oni or a Thay, to be quite honest. You can check to see what ghost does what. Right? If we wanted to see, like, oh, what is a Thay? Okay, it's ghost riding, dots, and ghost orbs. Like, all right, cool. Right? Ghost touch the door again. And grab another photo until our photos are full. And just like that, we have a full 3-star photos across the board. Get him out of the way. The spirit box here, a lot of people have problems with the spirit box, and I'm going to show you exactly what you can do here. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see this. So we've got the power on. You can see the light turn on. Okay, I'm going to walk into the room over here. Okay, and you're going to notice that when I hit the talk key, that you'll see this light up. What we are looking for is this light to either turn red or white and say something out of the spirit box. That's what we're looking for. Okay? Where are you? How old are you? Are you here? Are you friendly? Where are you? How old are you? Are you here? Are you friendly? Where are you? How old are you? Are you here? Are you friendly? Where are you? How old are you? Are you here? Are you friendly? Where are you? How old are you? So, I'm not getting anything, right? We got red across the board. If you don't see a light on that little ghost icon, if you don't see a light at all, or any kind of, like, you know, on the tier 2, it's an X. If you don't see an X or a little ghost symbol on the tier 3, you would see red or white again across the board. If you don't see any of that, then that means that what you're dealing with, or what that means is that the game itself is not recognizing what you're saying. So you need to, at that point in time, you would need to go into your options, go over to audio, make sure that your microphone is set up, and so that way then you could talk and then try to figure out what the issues are. Right? Now that we have everything, we still notice we're still looking for, this looks like freezing, but it's not. A lot of times this is just 33 degrees. It's just very cold, but it's not freezing temps cold. Right? And so what we would see if you had freezing is that it would actually drop below freezing, which is either 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. I am not a teacher. Okay, I'm just here to teach you about ghost hunting. That's it. So now we know that it just threw an object. So when we look over here on the board, we should be seeing somewhat of like an EMF 3, something along those lines, pop up here on the board. Additionally, right, now that we have 2 cameras set up, we see over here we have orbs. See the tiny little floating thing. It's kind of hard. I'm going to put my finger on it right here. That right there is what you're looking for. It's very faint. That you saw that just moved out of there, that is dots. So that is both dots and orbs, right? So I'm going to say that this is probably going to be ghost writing as well. So I'm going to bring in the ghost writing book. I'm going to bring in my crucifixes so I can show you guys that as well. Now, the crucifixes are great because you can place them down as well. There was a big quality of life improvement with these because, as you can see here, when I go to place down the crucifix, you can see the circle that is around it. As you move up in the tiers, it will, that distance will get greater, and it will cover over more of a surface area. But this way, you know that you're not doubling up or overlapping on your crucifixes way more than what you should be, right? So you just put them down. The place key by default on keyboard is F. If it's on console, I have no idea what it could be. Let me know down in the comment section below what the place key is on that one, if you know. Okay. And now, additionally, I'm going to set down this ghostwriting book on this side. and the crucifix on this side. Now, I'm going to take a look. Oh, she blew out the light. I'm going to take a look here, and I think that we have it determined. Grab my flashlight. And I want to show you guys so that way you can see the difference. There's the dots again. See here? It's very faint with the tier 1 dots. I don't like the tier 1 dots. I hope that they make a change to it to where it's easier to be able to work with. But, I mean, like, it's pretty bad. So, I want to show you guys the difference between this ghostwriting book and this ghostwriting book. They're the same ghostwriting book. It's kind of hard to see, but we do have ghostwriting. So, this is 100%, this is the thing. Now, how I knew that from just looking at it is that one of them, the one that I just placed down, has a pencil on it. If the ghost interacts and it writes in the ghostwriting book, even if you can't see the writing very well, right? Even if it's like in the dark and you really couldn't see as to whether or not that it wrote or something, if you didn't see the interaction that was happening for ghostwriting, you'll notice that when it writes in it, it actually disappears. Pencil disappears, the pen disappears, whatever that it is. So that's a kind of a pro tip to just quickly glance, see whether or not that you have ghostwriting without spending a whole lot of time to it. Now, these themselves, once you've determined what type of ghost that it is, you can come over into your book and you can take a look here. Basically, upon entering the location, they would be very, very active, defensive, and agile. So this one is very aggressive up front. It was doing a lot of ghost events up front. But as we've spent time inside the ghost room, it actually ages. It's a very unique ghost in that it does that. So the threshold for it to hunt actually gets lower and lower. And when it does actually hunt us, it actually will get slower and slower. So that's, it's a pretty interesting thing. So if you're doing like a no evidence run and you notice that the ghost is very aggressive in the beginning, but the more time that you spend in the room, it starts getting very, very passive and it doesn't want to do anything anymore. Could likely be dealing with a fae. Now, I'm going to bring in some candles because we needed to get to blow out a firelight. Firelight is just a fancy word for candle. Okay, it's a candle. There are some candles on location, but they're bolted down. You can't pick them up anymore. You can't use them on your own, so good luck with that one. The different tiers of candles will have a different burn rate. The tier 2 and tier 3 candles will have a much higher burn rate than the tier 1 candles. The tier 1 matches as well, you only have 10 strikes in the matches. You will notice that as you keep using them, that more and more matches will actually disappear. So that's a visual indicator of how many matches that you have left. Speaking of candles, smudges, matches, candles, smudges, matches, salt, those are consumable items. Sanity medication as well. Those are consumable items. So if you use them during a match, it will cost you money to be able to refund them. Right? To get them back. Now, the ghost did blow into the candle, or blow out the candle, which is really good. You can light a candle off of another candle. So, like, let's say, for instance, that it blew out that candle. I could take this candle, and I could light that candle with it. So we got that as well. You can use the overview map here to actually be able to see what you've done for the secondary objectives. So that's always cool too. Additionally, right, you can run back over here. And I'm going to pick up another matchbook. I'm going to grab one of these. I'm going to grab 2 of these because we're going to do 2 different segments here. Now, for the cleanse the area of the ghost, you just have to basically be near where the ghost is. So if you get the ghost to interact with an object, like it dinged that microwave, but you can see here it just blew at this candle. So if we run around here in the ghost room, run. Now you can see we got the cleanse the area of the ghost. Now there's a repel during the hunt ghost, or a side objective. There's an escape the hunt objective. Okay, repel the ghost during the hunt basically just means that the ghost is locked onto you and you use the smudge stick at any point in time to be able to get away and hide. The escape during a hunt just means that the ghost just has to get line of sight on you. It does not matter if it's for half of a second before the hunt ends. If the ghost sees you and it ends the hunt and you have not died, congratulations, you got the side objective. So do not think that you have to loop the ghost around and do all this kind of crazy stuff. You don't have to. Now, I'm bringing in some smudge sticks to show you guys kind of just on the hunting side of things. Now, I will say, for as far as into the later stages, right? Once we've figured out the ghost and once you've gotten the side objectives, you can just leave. You do not need to stay. You figured out the ghost and that's enough for you, then that's enough for you and leave. Do not waste your time. Do not try to get additional stuff if you're not comfortable with it. Live to fight another day. With that being said, right, if you are getting into the point to where maybe you had a hard time finding the ghost room or you could not get there quickly enough, what you want to do is you want to try to find yourself places to be able to hide. Closets are a very obvious choice, right? You can find yourself an empty closet, get inside of it, shut the door. You do not want the door ajar. You do not want to make noise while you're inside of it. You don't want to do any of that kind of stuff because the ghost will find you. It will come over towards you. Now, if the ghost does open up the door for a second, you do have like a split second to where you can shut the door and you will be fine. But generally speaking, if you're inside of a closet, most of the time you should be fine as long as you're not making any kind of noise. Pro tip for some folks, let's say for instance, let's say you were to run into this room and you were to shut this door right here behind you and you were to stand anywhere near this door, the game itself, there used to be back in the day, there was a problem where a lot of people were just kind of wedging themselves next to a door, like over here, for example, and they would stand right here, and they would say, well, I'm well hidden, and they would hold the door, and so the ghost would come up, and the ghost actually couldn't get you. Could not get to you at all, and so a lot of people were doing that. The dev says, we don't like that, so now if you hide anywhere beside a door or something like that, the game itself actually looks to see if there's a player there, and it will immediately kill you. So you cannot do that anymore. So what I recommend is, like I said, first off is closets. Those are going to be probably the most abundant, right? Find them to wherever that you're at. The other one that you can do as well, especially because this is in the garage here, is that you actually have the lockers. So you can get in the lockers as well. Just go in there, shut the door, you should be fine. It's always good to have some kind of an escape strategy, knowing exactly where you're going to go. Some of these maps have like pre-made hiding spots, like back here. This is another just kind of hiding spot. But you need to see whether or not that those hiding spots are actually available before you get into a hunt. So like as you're going around, take a mental note of like which closets are open, which ones are closed, which hiding spots can I go into, can I run over to. Like, for example, this nursery spot back over here. This normally is a spot, but you'll see that it's blocked off with boxes. But sometimes it's actually open, and you can hide back over there from the ghost. As you move up in difficulty, the hiding spots that you get will become less and less. So it's good to know several different ones, so that way you can be able to escape from them. Lastly, over here, we have the cursed object. Now, the cursed objects, I do not recommend you using them if you are new to the game. This is only if you want to have some fun with it, and you want to try them out and see what they do. That's totally fine. Go nuts. Try to put it on custom mode to where you don't lose any of your equipment, and then just go into the mats and just try them out. See how they play out. The general idea with any cursed object is that when you use them, the trade-off is that you're going to lose sanity. If your sanity hits 0 while you are using the cursed object, it will hunt. The ghost will hunt you. This particular one here is the music box. Now, if we turn on the music box and we're far enough away from the ghost, what will happen is that the ghost will actually start humming. It will start singing. So that is the trade-off. We can now hear where the ghost is within a certain distance. If I get close enough to the ghost, if we actually were to start it here, for example, we have a chance that the ghost would actually manifest, walk towards the music box. Once it gets to the music box location, then it would actually start a hunt from there. So if you don't want to start a hunt, you can just start it. You can just start it from back here and be totally fine. The longer you're holding on to the music box, the more sanity that it will drain, like I said. And if it hits 0, then it will hunt you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start it from afar so you can hear the ghost. I will get closer so that way the ghost will then manifest. I'll place it onto the floor, and then it'll want to hunt me. And then we will go through the hunt. And I will show you the smudge sticking section. so we can hear the ghost. We're getting close enough. Okay, there she is. She's walking towards it. Kind of hard to see because she was in the dark there, but I was trying to see if she'd come out. So now this is the hunt. You will see that the ghost will manifest like this. Now she is moving so slow because she is a Fae and I've spent so much time in the ghost room. Normally ghosts will get line of sight on you and they will move faster the longer they have line of sight. One of the few exceptions to that is a Fae. As you can see here, she's just having a hard time with it. Now, I can just smudge it, right? Once I use the smudge, she has no idea where I'm at for a short duration of time. Tier 1 is 5 seconds, Tier 2 is 6 seconds, Tier 3 is 7 seconds. As you can see, she lost complete sight of me. She has no idea where I am. Now she's just kind of wandering around. If you use the cursed object to start a cursed hunt, the cursed hunt will be longer than just a regular hunt. Once the hunt is concluded, by the way, all of the lights will turn off. If the ghost tried to use, if it tried to hunt you and it burned a crucifix instead, it will also turn off all the lights. But you'll notice that the door shut, and she took a couple of seconds to manifest and then come after us. Trying to think what else. You can use a smudge stick in a variety of different ways. You can use it from afar. Like I said, you do not need to be near the ghost in order to be able to use it. One of the things that I like to do is what I call smudging through the ghost. Because let's say, for instance, I want the ghost to be over here in this area, but I want to be back over into the garage. So I would wait for the ghost to come toward me. It would move towards me. I would smudge through the ghost, which gives you several seconds of invulnerability because the ghost doesn't see you. As long as the ghost doesn't see you, she won't kill you. So you can use that. You can smudge through the ghost and then be able to get yourself into a different position. Line of sight here is the biggest obstacle for a lot of these ghost hunts. You can loop a lot of these ghosts simply because if they lose line of sight on you. A lot of times, if you see me on my live streams, people will notice that I am actually kind of crouched down. And that is because, especially on this map, this countertop, the ghost actually can't see over the top of the countertop, so it loses line of sight. So even without smudge sticks, I can still survive and I can still loop the ghost because of line of sight. The more you can break a line of sight, the better off you'll be, because the ghost will not increase on the speed, right? But the longer that a ghost sees you, the longer it has a line of sight on you, it will speed up. It will reach you. So in that situation, let's say that the ghost was here, for example, I would smudge it and then I would immediately duck around, run back over here into the locker. That would be my line of attack, so to speak. What else? Yeah, that's kind of it. Now, a lot of ghosts do have individualized personalities, and different telltale things. Like I said, like with the Fae here, with it, moving slower the longer that you're spending inside the ghost room. If we had an early hunt, it actually would have been the exact opposite. It would have been moving very fast. So that's just to keep an eye on. We're at 9% sanity. I'm going to take these other 2 sanity pills. Let's see. The headlamps here, they're basically, just think of them as a portable. You hold down T to turn them on. You'll notice that little red light to turn it on. Now, once you do, you'll notice that we have a difference. We have 2 cameras right now, and then if I turn it on, then you can see now we have 3 cameras. And that's because now I can actually look. So now my teammates can actually see what I am seeing from the van. If you wanted to, right? And then if you didn't want to wear them anymore, all you'd have to do is just hold down the F key to place it back onto the wall. You can do that with any of these objects as well. If you picked up something, you don't just have to throw it down on the floor. You can actually just pick them up and put them back onto the wall. Sound sensors. I'm going to be honest, tier 1 sound sensors kind of suck. It is what it is. Basically, it's used. The Radio Shack knockoff here is what you're doing is you're basically just walking around listening for ghost activity, ghost interactions like that. That can help you to be able to determine where it's at. The problem with them is that you'll also pick up like the ceiling fans and your dots projectors. So that can be a little bit annoying. The other thing that we have here is motion sensor, right? Now, the motion sensor itself is a pretty useful tool for several different reasons, but you can mount them to a lot of different stuff. If you want to see what you can mount it to or where you can mount it to, just hold down the placement key, and you can see from there. One of the pro tips that I have is that you want to put them in doorways or in choke points for obvious reasons. That way, if the ghost does move through them for whatever reason, then it'll go off, right? The other thing as well is that by using them at a lower altitude, right? You don't want to necessarily put them up top for whatever reason. If I put them like up here, for example, you'll notice that it doesn't go off. Even though this dot basically goes to the center of my forehead, it still doesn't trigger. So if you place them down lower to the floor, then if the ghost walks over them, it'll actually set it off. Especially when you're dealing with children ghosts or with crawling ghosts, that can also be very useful as well. Let's see, is there anything else in the van that we need to talk about at all? Sound sensors themselves. You can bring in the sound sensors. Oh, see that little beep that we got right there? That little beep was an indicator that it stepped through the motion sensor. That's what you're hearing. You can also see that visually represented on the house map as well. Sound sensors are pretty easy to use. You just place them down wherever that you think that you're going to get ghost activity. I'll put one in the ghost room. And then what you'll see when you come back out is you'll actually see rings, the area of effect of those individualized sound sensors. Right? Like, we're hearing this noise, we're hearing this from the living room. Now, the sound sensors do have different ranges to them. See that? We're hearing stuff from the garage. So you can actually change these around to give you a different, like if you're like, hey, I want to cover a larger area and I'm hearing stuff, but now I want to be able to narrow it down. I don't know if it's in the living room or if it's in the garage. Okay, so then I can close down the area and I can see, okay, is there anything, are we getting sound from anywhere else? Unfortunately, like I said, for the living room, the reason why we're getting this high or this constant noise is from the ceiling fans. So that's something that we have to deal with. But what we are seeing here is the garage. That's where we know where it's at. And then you can see the total activity there as well. Like, I know it just turned on the water and it threw an object. So it turned on the water in the kitchen and it threw an object, probably a plate or a cup, something along those lines. And it actually just turned it off while it was there as well. So hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully this gives you a base understanding of the tier 1 equipment, how to use them, some tips and tricks. Again, I have a ton of videos on YouTube. A lot of the information is still solid, even though they might be a little bit older. The game has not been updated in quite a while. For as far as mechanics is concerned, it's been the exact same pretty much for the last, 2 years or so. So if you want to go back and check out any of those other videos, like what's the difference between events and hunts, if anything does change in the future, I will obviously have that posted as well and keep you guys updated for everything. Yeah, hopefully you guys found this informative. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give me a like, give me a share, follow the channel. It really does help out, and it really does make me a happy camper and everything. And if you want to check me out live, I'm also live on TikTok and on Twitch 4 days a week, Sunday, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays as well, from 5 p.m. Eastern time normally until at least 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Somewhere along those lines. But there you go. It's a perfect investigation bonus. We got everything. We got the bones. We got all the secondaries objectives. We got all of the photos. If you want to look at the individualized detailed stats, they're all listed here. How many interactions, how many hunts, how many events, how long did we spend, where was the bone location if you couldn't find the bone, how long did we spend inside there, all of that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, as you progress up, then you'll be able to unlock the higher tier equipment as well. You'll start to pick up the different items for your case. Like, for example, we picked up the spine here, so that would be added into your display case if you didn't already have that. If you use a cursed object, then you can get those into the display cases as well. These are holiday event things that are no longer accessible, unfortunately, so you can't go back. You can't get the old stuff. But you can get new stuff as they progress. And then these are the Apocalypse trophies. That is like for the creme de la creme, the hardest challenge in Phasmo. It does take a lot. I can do definitely some videos on that as well. But yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. But yeah, guys, I hope everybody found this video informative. If you did, again, leave a like, leave a share, leave a comment. Let me know how well I did or how much I sucked. You know, that's the thing too, I guess. Just let me know. Right, in any case. But you guys are loved, you're valued. I'll see you guys in the next video.